She likes it. She likes it. So are you video camming this?
I'm gonna live stream it.
Oh, you are.
Yeah.
To who?
I'm gonna live stream it.
I better be quiet.
No, it's fine. We don't have any viewers yet.
I better be quiet.
I'm gonna send the link out to the
I
principal.
really better be quiet.
No, nobody's viewing it yet. We don't have any viewers.
Okay.
We're good. Live streaming. What's that noise? Live streaming.
That might be you feedback. You're right.
Oh, it's you. Yeah. You can just turn the volume down on that one. Hey, come.
the link is
Now,
like it's
does it
live.
make sense to me? Absolutely, it makes sense to me. If I was in charge of this, would I say, oh, it's me?
Well, we don't have any viewers because
Okay.
nobody has the link.
All right, so, I mean, if it was up to me, I'd do it, but this is, on days like today when I know I'm not the person in charge, I just kind of
Okay,
let it
fair enough.
happen.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's called
so
the politics of the office.
I totally get it. So I'll just wait for her to get here and get permission. to sit down.
She's at her desk,
Got it. All right. In the
not
meantime.
wanting anybody to talk to her right now.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I think
Don't worry,
I better get.
my role in the office is also to protect people, so.
Okay. Well, I very much appreciate that.
You're welcome. You're
So
welcome,
thank you.
Shannon.
It's what
Yeah,
you protect
welcome.
me.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think
need
that's
to
a
go
great
get-
idea.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we should do this on a regular basis just because it's fun.
Yeah, I mean, I spent all day out in Washington yesterday, and I was in 3 different schools yesterday, and I kept thinking, God, anytime we have something at Regalia, you guys have to trek on in, and that's a lot of time. My whole day was out there. I mean, this is not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Hey, Mary,
And I
how
would
are
do
you?
this from my desk today.
I hear things are off to a good start. What a difference a year makes.
Oh my gosh. We were sitting in the office the other. And again, like if it's live, like on YouTube, like you can
A
just
little
exit out of the
weeding, a
link.
little gardening, a little pruning, and a year under the belt.
And where you want to see what you missed, or you can just keep going.
Very
from
good.
Where they are.
Well,
So, but I need to go get. Can I help you? An extension.
yeah.
I think I'm gonna need an extension cord to plug this in. I don't know. I can go check. Can you go check while I go? I left my power charger.
So like a long extension cord? Oh, it's just
No,
right there.
it's right there, and I have
Oh, it's back here.
just for whenever the battery goes low. Okay. Okay.
People do it themselves. They're artists, so. All right, I'm gonna get a cup of tea. You know what? Coffee. I'm gonna go get some tea in the other secret room. You sit towards the. All right, be a good example.
If I'm your best example,
There you go. It's all good.
you're in trouble.
I don't know, I didn't go in. It took me an hour to get here though, so I hope fingers crossed.
Oh my gosh, you can't do that. Okay.
So when preschool's in that line. Well, I have to email the parents though, the shots. You can go. Don't try to. I know, everyone knows the trick. I know, right, I know.
Exactly right.
What they got here.
to two places where they sent me. I love this. They said when Chuck comes down, who I wouldn't recognize. Oh, that's really Chuck. And he comes, I hear Chuck.
Check with you.
He comes
Check three.
yeah. That he would grab an extension cord for him. So I'm gonna that is text it. Good to know.
And my phone has full battery, but I'm thinking like,
No, this would be better. Yeah. Okay. Let me see if I can. You know, also
just an extension cord so I can.
I have one in my office.
She's going to get one right now. If that doesn't
Okay.
work out, then
I have one.
I'll go up to prayers.
Well, I have to go up anyway and get some things, but
Oh, okay.
this is good.
Yeah. So as soon as Sister Matlock gets down here, I'm going to ask Tisha to send the link out to all the principals and pastors so they can come in with it.
That's great. I will
look
too.
what I found.
Oh, is it the right kind of problem now?
Will it plug in at the top? I have to switch them.
So what's over here?
Hold on. I think I got it. At an angle.
Look at that.
We might have to put this on the chair so it reaches her phone.
100% certainty. I have to need to put like some cones or anything.
We'll just stand here like this. Morning. Yeah, we were trying this yesterday afternoon. It was interesting.
It looks like it's working well though. Whatever you guys must have trouble shoot it out, most of it.
Yeah. Well, we couldn't get it to the when you turn it, the orientation turns, but it wouldn't. It just wouldn't keep it that way. So it was just weird. But anyway, we got it out, I guess. We'll take the small victories where we can get them.
Absolutely. It started, right? The school hasn't burned out. Our aftercare person. I know, I didn't mean to force all this.
The battery won't die and it won't run down.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know. I think I have too much stuff on my phone because my battery dies really fast.
I hope, you know what, I hope people are going to be able to hear this. So here, I'll have to turn them on. Okay, and then I'll wait until. Good, Shannon?
Oh, that's fine.
All good. All of a sudden it's fuzzy. I don't know why.
I'm gonna run upstairs. Do you have anything up there that you need?
No, thank you.
Okay.
though.
Here, you can bring her in every now and then. Yes. Yes, you would.
I'm sure it does. But it's kind of cute though. Yeah. That's good.
Are you sitting, ladies?
That's just their camera. They're like, come on. Yeah, okay, fine.
I know it's good.
Got your coffee?
Hey, how you doing? Morning.
Better late than never. Better late than never.
We're standing up. We're standing up.
No, so we live right south of Manchester. Unfortunately, I had to take Manchester. It was no different than any other day. It's always been. I saw, though, traffic coming the other way. Okay. Well, so I came and then coming here, going to Manchester, but there's traffic all the way from Manchester to here, like backed up. I don't know how those people are gonna
was just checking because I used to get all those emails.
All right, I'm going to
Are you trying different presentations?
No, I just sent myself the link, and I'm going to email it out to the pastor.
Did anybody let them know that they could do this?
No. And I was going to do it early this morning, but Maureen said I have his permission, so I was waiting for her to get down here. And I just asked her if she gave me permission.
We met in the restroom. Yeah. She was fixing her hair. She's like, well, I just decided to give us a little when we walked today.
Nice to see you
Good
again.
to see you again. I feel like we speak every week now.
I think we have as much as we could do. It was great.
I'm hoping
It's all good news.
it's wonderful. That makes me happy.
Hey Greg, hi sister. Hi, how are you?
Makes me very happy to know that there's
Okay.
Yes, it's crazy busy.
Good.
Lots to do, but I'm enjoying it. I like being challenged. Trust me,
I
challenged.
know.
Okay. Oh, how's that going?
It's going good. I'm just going to send the link out to everybody.
Okay.
She's going to start working for IT Next.
She has which mine is. She talks to the doctor. He says, "Hey, write this." Okay, there's the email I'm sending out.
For doing that shit.
You're welcome.
I'm so glad you know how to do this.
It's handy.
Good, one day ahead of time. Do I have to read just you guys or something? I was
You ready to go?
Check your email.
Checking my regular email too, because I never know which one it's going to go to these days.
Yeah, I got that. I read.
It's just thinking. I think my phone's just super slow.
We have a picture day today raining and we have pictures in our school. I didn't have to check it. I said, yeah, oh yeah. I love mine.
Thank you.
Mind if we're doing it?
Oh, have a seat, please.
Oh, are you? Oh, good. I know.
Julie, do you need help? Okay. If you need something, holler. Everybody up front.
Yeah, so next to the glasses, on that far end right there.
Are you trying to? Yeah. Sorry, I can't move the table. Well, I can't move the table.
Right.
Sure. There should be room. There's someone here, but I don't think there's anyone here. I swear I just heard something ding. Was it me or was it you? No. But if it went to elementary, they probably took me off that server because I might not be there yet. I checked both emails and I got nothing. I'm sorry?
Are they filming this whole thing?
Yes. So it'll be available online for those people that weren't able to attend. Actually, they're streaming it live. So, but then it'll also be on their network.
Yes, it's from now. Alright, Peggy got it. So it's working.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I just must not be on it.
That means that you're probably not doing the email service. We'll have to get with Julie Dwyer and the tech people. And the tech people to get you in.
Yeah, because I got an email on Sunday night that said that they took me off the STL, because it says you are no longer on this whatever, so it just kind of makes sense. Yeah, probably. Well, I guess what I don't know, I don't know. But I'd rather know than not. I actually work at the Catholic Education Office now. I was at St. Mary's Preschool for 14 years. I work in the formation office for curriculum and instruction. Everything's restructured, so yeah. So
How many do you have in your office now?
3. Dr. John, Shannon, and myself. And it's busy. And I'm doing curriculum, but I'm also doing special education. That's my background, so for the special ed department. Back to school is busy.
No.
And where are you?
I'm there Lady Robertson.
Oh, okay. So I think we met. I guess it'd be 4 summers ago during all of the stuff going on. My school donated tons of things to your pantry, and your 8th grade boys helped us.
Oh, okay. What school are you? You're at
St. Mary's preschool.
Okay, yeah.
And we had carloads that we drove up, and they were so helpful and so loving. Like, the boys were just fantastic and so excited. So, yeah, it was very nice. It's crazy. Are things better there? Things,
People don't think so because of racism and everything. People that are racist think that Ferguson is so happy, but things are back to the way they were.
status quo.
It's sad. It's sad what the media did.
Yeah. But that's unfortunately the world we live in
I
now.
know. Very much.
No.
She's our region coordinator.
But I want to thank you for the first. That was very helpful. Great. How's everybody? Doing all right?
Good morning, everyone. You can tell this is a Catholic school group. Not often do people stop talking instantly. We gave you a couple extra minutes because I'm not from Missouri, but they tell me that in Missouri people do not know how to drive when it rains. So we had to start a couple things a little late because of that. The traffic does get backed up, and we prefer that people go a little slower because sometimes the water accumulates and just covers that windshield and you can't see a darn thing. So we'd rather be safe than sorry. We are delighted at this beginning of the Catholic school of this year, 2018-2019, that you are able to take some time to come here today. Because we know what your schedules are like, and we also know that you have no extra people in your building to do extra things. So you get to do about 15 every day, that you probably could use a few more people. As I keep telling everyone around here, we cover 76 public school districts. The smallest public school district will be 10 people. The largest will be 35 to 40. So we cover what 750 to 2,500 people might cover. And our education office is about 22. So I know that's how your school staffs are, same thing. That's how we balance our budgets in Catholic schools. We have no extra people, so everyone does about 5 different jobs. So we are very grateful that you are here, and we are grateful for what you do each day. And there's really no way that we can express that gratitude, as I tried to say at our opening mass on August 7. So we are blessed to have you. And I know that your passion for what you do is what keeps you going. And you are living out your baptismal call. So we're most grateful for that. So in that spirit, let us pray. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. God, we are in your presence in a very special way this day. We thank you for the graces that you have bestowed on us as we open this academic year. We are also grateful for the challenges, because you do not give us anything that we cannot handle. You give us the grace each day to be the person that you have called us to be, so that we do make a difference in this world. In today's world, where there is so much put down, please give us the grace to understand that sometimes we're the only eyes and ears that you have on this earth. And sometimes people do take advantage of that. And sometimes we do become the place where people do add a lot of tension because they have no one else with whom they can speak or be honest. So we pray for the grace to be what you have called us to be to each of these persons who struggle each day with trying to be the person that you have called them to be. We pray for all of those today who are suffering physically or mentally, and for those who are in want. And we pray in a very special way for the children that you have entrusted to us, so that we continue to be the person you have called us to be, so that we constantly model your gifts, and that we constantly model the virtues that you have displayed throughout your life. We pray in a very special way for any child, any young person that we deal with who is struggling with trying to figure out who they are and why they're here. Give us the strength to be to all of those in need. Your day is filled with challenges, God, challenges that we create. Give us the strength and the wisdom to understand when we're part of the issue rather than part of the solution. We pray for all of the families who have entrusted their children to our care. They too are struggling in this world, trying to be something that maybe they can't be, rather than being comfortable in their own skin. So together, let us pray. Our Father,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
And in your prayers today and in your thoughts, the mother and daughter presenter that we have gathered with us today, the mother's father is dying, and of course the grandfather. So we have, in a special way, said that we would hold them in prayer today. And then in the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. The person I'm going to introduce needs no introduction because he used to work for the communication office of the Archdiocese. So, Katie, I don't see, there you are. Katie Peshet will take this from here. And I have to say that Katie has done a wonderful job of picking up on the contract that the education office had regarding marketing. And if you recall, it was unveiled last year in August, and some persons did not like it at all. So we did stop that contract, and then we realigned what the marketing plan should be for the Archdiocese. And at that time, then I engaged the conversation with Katie, and because of her deep understanding of the Archdiocesan Church, she has grabbed hold of this, and this is not her full-time job. She does this in a special way because of her passion for Catholic education. So Katie, it's all yours.
Well, thank you very much, sister. It is such a pleasure to be back here with you all. For those that don't know me, I was Executive Director of Communications and Planning for the Archdiocese of St. Louis up until a couple of years ago. I held that post for about 5 years. I decided to leave because I had my third child, and I was finding it difficult to balance being a mother, the mother that I wanted to be, and working full-time. And I just recently actually had my fourth child, so today's my first day leaving him for this many hours at a time, and he's 2 months old. So if I seem like my brain is in two places at once, I apologize, but it probably is. So anyway, it's a pleasure to be back here with you. When I left the Archdiocese a couple years ago, I didn't want to have to leave, and I do have a passion for this place, and I do have a passion absolutely for Catholic education. I have 2 children myself that attend St. Joseph's in Cottleville, which is the parish that I attend. So just a little bit of background about myself. So Sister alluded to the fact that there was some history that she brought me in on in regards to marketing our Catholic schools here in St. Louis. And it just so happens that I was working with Faith Catholic. It's on a very part-time basis, helping them market Catholic schools in another diocese. They had contacted me and asked if I'd be interested in doing some work while I was at home, and I took that on. And so when I knew that the schools here in St. Louis were looking to put together a plan for marketing Catholic schools, I felt like this was a really nice fit. If you're not familiar with Faith Catholic, they're actually the ones that help us prepare Catholic St. Louis. They help us publish that magazine here in St. Louis. So Catholic St. Louis is the brains behind it, where it came from, was actually from Faith Catholic. So I brought in a couple of their people to help talk to you today about some marketing efforts and bringing in some really deep knowledge in the matter itself of marketing, but also bringing in some background from different dioceses as well. So it might be helpful as we network with one another today about how to market our schools. So with that, I can direct your attention to your workbooks. Our presentations, the slides for our presentations are inside, and there's some materials that I'll be directing your attention towards as we go along. But the session 1 is, we're just going to talk about what is this plan. I think you've been hearing about the fact that the marketing plan is on its way, and so I'm going to share with you a little bit about what that is. But first, before we jump straight into that, I want to take some time to talk about your goals. There's one thing that I absolutely recognize from my time here at the Archdiocese and also just working with different Catholic schools is the fact that while we are one alliance of schools, we are part of one larger system, I absolutely recognize that each of you have your own brands. Each of you have your own unique needs. And each of you are going to have to go about marketing in your own unique ways. And so as I've been talking with Sister these past several months, large value, really. I mean, we have such a large system here in St. Louis. But how do we also respect the fact that each of you have your own identities? And so we're trying, what we've prepared is a way for you to be able to approach this in a way that's customized to your needs. So keep that in mind, that you're very mindful of that, very intentional of the fact that you have those specific needs yourself. And as we put this together, not only have we been talking with Sister, I've been talking with the larger education staff. We've had a few listening sessions throughout the way, and I've been trying to hear as much feedback as possible as we go along. And obviously just my own background of working here and working with many of you. So with all that being said, test to see if this works. Good, it does. Okay. So to start off, I think it's important for us to understand why exactly are we here? Why do we keep talking about marketing? Well, first and foremost, the most important reason is that we know that Archbishop Carlson has made Catholic education a very high priority, top priority of his since his arrival here in 2009. We know that Catholic education was such a priority through the Mission Advancement Initiative. It was mentioned throughout V1, and it continues to be a high priority of his, and so that continues then for it to be a priority of ours, right? But I think it's important to recognize the fact that, and as we all know, our enrollment is going down. Our enrollment has been decreasing as a whole. So in the past 20 years, we've seen a 42% drop in our enrollment. That's an alarming number when you stop to think about it. And while we realize that many of our schools, where, especially like in the city area, you may feel like you're competing with one another, that your competitors are actually the other Catholic school down the street because you're very close in geography. I think it's very important for us to recognize that there's a lot of low-hanging fruit out there, and there's plenty for all of us. Knowing that we've lost that percentage, but also realizing the fact that there are many Catholic families that are no longer sending their children to Catholic school. And we need to address that. Why is that? There are perceptions that exist about our schools, and while those perceptions may not be true, perception many times can become reality in people's minds, okay? So we know what we can provide is of highest quality, but maybe it's not registering for our Catholic families. And so right now we've been talking a lot, or at least at St. Joe's, we talk a lot about, I should mention that I'm on the school board there, I'm president of the school board this year, so I'm really engaged in the conversations there. And the one thing that we talk about is many times when we look at our enrollment numbers and what our projections are, they're based on baptism numbers, right? I think a lot of us do that where we look at what baptisms were 5 years ago to predict what our kindergarten enrollment is going to be this year. Is that fair to say that many of you do that? But I think what we're finding here is that actually many of our Catholic families are no longer sending their kids to Catholic schools. So as a result, it's actually the projections are too generous. When you look at these middle two bullets here, only 37% of Catholic elementary school age children attend a Catholic school, and only 31% of Catholic high school age children attend a Catholic school. I'm just going to stop there and let that register. That we're leaving to 60, almost 70% of Catholic children are not receiving a Catholic education in our schools. They may be going to PSR, things like that, which is wonderful, but why aren't they in our schools? What is it that's creating that block for them? Why are they not taking that extra step? What is it? That's what we really need to think about, okay? So, as we address or think about those issues, and as Sister and I were talking, we tried to identify what are our goals for this broader campaign. Again, realizing that the needs of each school is very unique, we also realize that as an archdiocesan system, we need to have some goals that we are trying to achieve. And I think the first thing that I saw in some data that I had studied that was done last year is that there is a perception that the quality of Catholic education is not as good as the other options. And that's absolutely false. It's absolutely false. The quality is high. It's higher. It's better. The success rates are better. Our test scores are better. We know that. But for some reason, perception that that's not the case. We need to address that because we are better. So we really need to address the fact that that the quality and the success levels of Catholic education, of faith-filled education is there, but also the importance of faith-filled education, right? It's not just to give the faith to the children, it's to give the faith to the families. And as a mother that's sending now 2 over 4 children to Catholic school, my kids are coming home and right now, they're just walking out of church. They had mass this morning. They got to go to mass today. They get to go to do adoration. I have on my calendar days that I get to go do adoration with them, celebrate adoration in the school chapel. They get to walk by a chapel every day, genuflect, and I get to go and have adoration with them throughout the school year. They bring home a prayer chalice that we can pray with all week as a family. You know, there are these things that are happening that are bringing the family closer together in our faith. And those are things that we need to highlight, right? It's an investment for sure. Obviously, we have this goal of we need to increase our enrollment and improve our retention at the different levels. And it's going to look different for all of us, obviously. But then going back to that perception, we need to enhance the positive perception. First and foremost, our first target audience has got to be those families that have baptized their children. Why are we not getting those Catholic children? And then looking so that's sort of the core. That's the core audience. And then when we look a little further out, we should look at our broader parish community. Maybe there's a grandparent that has children that they could help support through the Catholic education system, as an example. Looking at the broader parish community to be able to help families send their children to school. And then the broadest audience really is to consider just the broader community at large. Because we know we have many children in our schools that actually are not Catholic. And there's an opportunity there as well. So that's sort of, as we've gone through the development of this campaign, that's where the mindset has been. These are the areas that we need to be mindful of, and we need to be intentional about how we approach them. So what I'd like to do, before I get into the specific elements of this campaign and what's available to you, I really want to take some time, allow you to have some time to reflect on your own schools. Because again, I'm just going to keep reiterating the fact that I understand you all have unique needs. And while we have to maintain the branding of the Archdiocese, because that is helpful to you, you have your own brands, your own identities, your own unique needs. So to get us started today and to help lead us through the rest of the day, I want to get you thinking about your own schools. So to start off, we're going to do a very simple exercise. I want you to reflect on and write down what are the important facts about your school. So these are the numbers that exist that are just fact. What is your enrollment? What is your tuition? Have you received any special awards or things? What makes you unique? Who are you? When you're quoting your tuition, are you doing it annually? Are you doing it weekly? Monthly? Daily? You know, it could be the cost of Starbucks, a cup of Starbucks every morning. I mean, I don't know, whatever your tuition is. Think about how you're sharing that information. So if you came with someone from your school, turn to them, feel free to work at your tables. I'm going to give you just a couple minutes to just write down what are the main facts about your schools.
I do. I really like it. I've worked with all these people for 15 years, but in a different capacity, obviously. But it's a big change. I'm used to little people problems. Back to school has been crazy. I'm used to parent problems, little people problems, staff problems, and solving those. And now I'm solving across the board. So it's very different. It is. It's very challenging, and I enjoy a good challenge. but I work
Okay.
in the
Can you, or
so
here,
helping
I can
out,
get that. Everything's fine?
but I also
Do you wanna get
am
this?
doing special needs and the preschool piece that
Right.
everybody said they wanted. So the special education part is my background.
Working with Kathy a lot.
Yeah, so she's my immediate boss. So it's great.
Shoot, you still can't see it. I wonder if I can
We've got
zoom.
one more minute.
Got 1 minute. Still can't see it very well. Yeah.
Better off like the first column.
The first column, I was hoping to do it.
That first line.
I don't know if there's, now's the time, now's the time.
It's too late now.
I think there's a plug up there.
Oh, this is better.
You
Okay.
having trouble capturing it?
No, you just couldn't see the
if we can
screen.
Pull back together. Direct your attention back up here. We're going to go back into conversation here. The next thing that I want you to talk about, and again, realizing that each of you have unique needs, you also have unique goals. So what I want you to write down are the current goals for your school. And it could be different for any of you, right? It could be based on what are your graduation rates. It could be based on your enrollment or retention numbers. It could be based on how many people are visiting your website, looking at those analytics. What is it that you look at to establish the goals for your school? And I think what's really important to identify is not only how are you measuring those goals, you have these goals, you're talking about them, are you measuring them? Hopefully you are. What defines success for you? Right? So if you're measuring them, is it based on enrollment, and is success just keeping enrollment where it is, making sure it doesn't decrease? Is it seeing an increase? How are you measuring those, and how are you holding yourself accountable for that? Do you revisit these goals every year? So there's a lot of questions, follow-up questions to that, but start with writing down your goals, and what is it? How is it that you identify your goals for your school? And then think through some of those additional questions there. I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to work through that.
There's only one person watching.
So is it recording here?
Out there. Yeah, but it's a little delayed.
Is that why we saw Peggy go? Yeah.
There's like a 3 second delay. In hindsight, I wish I would have written it up. That's why I did it right here. But I'm thinking, what do you think? I think that number is on like 3 or something that I should. Who is it capturing? Is it capturing yours? No, sure you guys out visiting us. You're like, what would we do?
So one more minute on this. Okay, so now, attention back up here real quick. A lot of good goals. I saw a high five up there, so that was good. The next thing that we're going to continue, take your conversation deeper now. We were talking about the perceptions of Catholic education, and I was talking about that from a general sense as to what I'd seen from the larger archdiocese. So now what I would like you to do is identify the perceptions about your own school. You know what they are. You've heard them. It's not necessarily the truth, the reality, but there are perceptions. And then again, that perception becomes the reality. So identify not only the positive perceptions, but those negative perceptions about your school. And as you're doing that, we're going to be moving this conversation straight into marketing, right? How is it that those perceptions affect your the content, what you're saying and how you're saying it about your school? The content delivery, that message that you're sharing about your school. Are the perceptions any part of that for you at this point? So identify what are those perceptions, and then based on those perceptions, how does that affect your content, messaging, and delivery? What you're saying and how you're saying it. Go ahead.
You know, certain
Okay, so let me have your attention back up here. I hope that was enough time to talk through some of those perceptions. Were you able to come up with, not to be too much of a downer on this rainy morning, but were you able to come up with some of the negative perceptions about your schools? Who's willing to share? Yes. Weak facilities, okay? Who else? Yes. Too high of tuition. That school's gonna close next year. Yes? You-
You know, you mentioned about test scores, you said we know our test scores are better, but I suggested there are able, you know, we can take a math test for a year, so we can compare apples to apples.
Oh, okay.
You know, really put it out there.
Uh-huh.
Because we're saying ours is better, but it's different paths,
Sure thing.
you know, time of year is different, right?
So the perception is that the quality's not there, and possibly because we haven't been able to highlight that we're doing a better job because we're comparing apples to oranges in the types of tests being taken.
Or if we even said, for example, you know, our high school alumni average ACT is,
Sure.
you know, might be one item for sure.
Right. Okay. Okay. Great. Right. Right. Okay. Yes. So kind of speaking to the passion and the mission of the teachers in a sense, because you're there for a bigger mission, and it's not just there to punch the clock and meet the state, what's required by the state and things like that. Repeat the questions. That's what I'm doing right now. Yeah, yep. Did I miss anything? Did I? Helping parents understand why we do it in the fall to help them understand the long-term benefits. Okay, so communicating test scores in a better, more proficient, comparable way. Other perceptions. That's it? No more? Helping students with special needs that we're not proficient there, maybe don't have enough resources. We teach to the middle of the road. Catholic schools are only for Catholic students. Back there, red shirt, yep. Okay, so we don't have a fair system when it comes to bullying, that we're not giving that enough attention, maybe? Okay, yes. Oh, that the teachers aren't as good, they're not certified, they don't have as much experience, or the Catholic school is their second option because they couldn't get the public school job, okay? Is that what you were gonna say too? Okay, yes. The stability of the school and the system, okay? Right now, just some people's outlook on the Catholic Church. I mean, we know what's happening in this week. No one maybe wants to say it, but we know what's happening, right? So these perceptions perceptions that exist. Whatever it is for your school, you need to pay attention to those negative perceptions. That's your most important goal, is take from a marketing perspective. Identify whatever the negative perceptions are. Maybe there's one prominent one, maybe there's 3. But I want you to think through those, continue to think through those past today. What are those negative perceptions about our school? It doesn't matter if you're a high school, if you're an elementary school, whatever. It's the same for all of you. Figure out whatever those negative perceptions are and turn them into positive ones. Address them head on. For some schools, test scores may not be the negative perception. Some of our schools are well known for being pretty prominent in what they're able to teach and the alumni that they put out. It might not be that for one, but it could be for someone sitting right next to you. So identify what are those negative perceptions for you. Turn them into positive. That's where you want to focus what you're marketing at your school. Okay? So, in summary, what we've done through this exercise, we've talked about the goals for this larger campaign. Obviously, we have to have goals from a larger perspective as to what we want to accomplish. We've talked about why we're trying to accomplish those goals. We've identified those facts about your school. It's important to share those hard facts about your school very easily. That information shouldn't be hard to find. It should be prominently available for people to find, those facts, who you are. We've then identified these different perceptions, positive and negative. And then we've come to the point of what should your marketing goals be. Your marketing goals should tie into those perceptions in some way. Because I can't say it enough. Perception becomes reality. And while it may not be a true perception, it may not be fair, it is what it is. And in this day of social media and the like, it could take one parent saying something that all of a sudden becomes fact. And you need to be mindful of those things and intentionally address them. So what I would like you to do before we jump into the look of this campaign and what's available to you is I want to challenge you. I want to challenge you to think about everything that we've just discussed. Thinking about the goals that you've established for yourself and what you've thought through just in these past 30 minutes or so. If you really address those the way that we are suggesting you do that through the course of today, and you give that primary focus from a marketing perspective, what do you think your best guess for enrollment and retention would be for next year? Our plan is we're introducing this, we're unveiling all of this to you today with the intention that you really roll it out strong at the turn of the year in January around Catholic Schools Week time. So we're giving you a full semester to figure this stuff out, figure out what you need. Get it ordered, get it displayed, start marketing, not only just what visually is available, but what you're saying, how you're saying it, the content that's being delivered. Make all those adjustments through this year. What is your best guess? What goal are you going to set for yourself 1 year from today to pull open this workbook that you have in front of you and say, I did it. How did I do it? And reflect back. Think about, what did I do? How did we achieve that goal? How did it work? What did we do? Because we need to keep doing that. Or alternatively, we didn't meet it. Why not? What do we need to do differently? Maybe we weren't addressing the right perceptions. Maybe we weren't doing it in the right way. But going back 1 year from today and doing this again, it's important to reevaluate it because every year things change too. So I'm going to give you about 30 seconds more to think about your best guess for enrollment and retention I can't even say it, 2019, 2020. That sounds like so far away, but it's next school year. 2019, 2020, I want you to write it down. That's your goal for next year. And I want you to stay laser focused on that. And if for some reason you don't want to look at enrollment as your goal, maybe it's something else, then write that down. written down?
Do you mind if I watch you? Want to see how this works? Yeah.
Write something down. Okay. So now what I would like to do is unveil to you what this campaign is, what it consists of, what's available to you. Now that you've really gotten yourself into this mindset of what you need to do in your schools. Okay? So what we focused on, obviously, I've talked about the branding. Not just the visual branding, but the written branding. So what I'm going to do is direct your attention to the back of your workbooks. We have the materials listed there, so go to page 46. The first thing that we did as I was talking with sisters, we developed what's called a key messaging platform. Because I felt very strongly that what Sister was sharing about the messages that we needed to deliver were quite intentional. They were very specific about some of the goals that we talked about in the very beginning that I was bringing up. And so what you're going to see first in that key messaging platform is a mission. It's a new mission statement for the Office of Catholic Education and Formation. The staff has put that together. The Office of Catholic Education and Formation serves school and parish communities of the Archdiocese of St. Louis in our shared work of faith formation and academic excellence, challenging all to live the teachings of Jesus Christ. That is the mission of Sister and all of the staff here as they work to serve you. The next thing that we did is we talked through what are the main pillars, if you will, that we need to address from a content perspective. What are the key messages that we need to address? So I'm going to direct your attention, I'm going to jump you down to the message detail that you see. There's 4 columns. The first is what needs to always be our lead because it's what always makes us the most unique and no one else can offer. And that's leading with faith. But it's worded in a way that's very specific to how Sister has been sharing it with me, and I think it's really strong. And that is, your child can develop a sense of purpose and value. It's through teaching the faith that these children that you're teaching establish that sense of purpose and value. There's complementary text below, and the point of this is for you to be able to go back to this and use this content in your own marketing materials. Pull it out verbatim, it's fine. The second message is that your child can receive a higher quality education, and it does talk through some of the specific data. If there's a new, different, better way that we can share that information, we'll start working on that too. Your child can join a welcoming community. Some feedback or perception that I picked up on from some of the survey data that I looked at was that there's a perception that it's not a welcoming, maybe not as welcoming a community to maybe outsiders that are not Catholic, or that it's too cliquey, or that we just aren't willing to welcome in other cultures, faith, diversity, and things like that. We know that's not true, but there's this perception. We are a welcoming community, and we need to make sure that that's felt, especially by new people that are coming in. They need to feel welcomed, and we know that. And then finally, your child can feel secure in a dynamic future. So it's looking at that the children are being set up for success. It's through all of these additional extracurricular activities that are available that maybe there's a perception they don't exist, but they do. And we're setting our children up for extreme success. And we have great alumni stories to share that support that. So taking all of that into consideration, we established a new tagline for Catholic education here in St. Louis, in the Archdiocese of St. Louis. It's education with a higher calling. We provide education with a higher calling. That says a lot right there. And and seeing some of the materials is that we are teaching what matters most. Teaching what matters most is the headline that you'll see on many of the materials, and it's all supported by that content that's mentioned below. Again, recognizing how unique each of you are, I think this content really speaks to any of you in your own way, or could be adapted to however you need to use it. Okay? So we started with looking at the content, and what is it that we need to say? What is it that we need to say? Then we started talking about, how are we going to say this? What is it going to look like? So the one thing that we know is that people's first perception of the Catholic schools in the Archdiocese of St. Louis, maybe a new family that's shopping, how are they doing that? If I'm a new parent that just moved into town, where's the first place I'm probably going to go? The website. That's correct. It's the website. It's probably going to be after I get all the kids down to bed. It's going to be 9 or 10 o'clock at night, and finally, okay, where are the kids going to go to school when we move? And I know that I want to send them to a Catholic school maybe, but I don't really know the geographic area. I might decide where to live based on what school I choose, right? So the first thing you're going to do is go to the website. And so with the help of the Office of Communications and Planning here at the Archdiocese, I think maybe most of you have hopefully seen that the Archdiocesan website has been redesigned. It just launched a couple of weeks ago. There's a freshly redesigned website for the entire Archdiocese. And so through that work, we've been working with them on the education side to make sure that the content available on the website for the Office of Education and Formation is appropriate. Before, what was on the Archdiocesan page was extremely wordy and maybe not necessarily focused on the target audience. Again, I will reiterate, our target audience are these parents, maybe with baptized children who are not choosing our Catholic schools. That's who we're talking to on the website. Always has been, always will be. It's the public audience. And so with that, a lot of the content has been shifted around. It's been set up to complement what's here in this messaging platform, and it's much more user-friendly. So I'll give you a look. So some of the graphics still need to be updated, but you can see that we have education with a higher calling. We have some specific announcements that are listed. We've created a new series of videos through this campaign, and so I'm going to show you this video in a moment. Here are these 4 pillars of purpose, quality, community, and dynamic. Most of you should have been, all of you should have been contacted, each of your schools were contacted by the office staff here, the education office, to acquire information about each of your schools, specific information, because we wanted to make sure that as I'm shopping for a school, I might go to the Archdiocesan page because I realize I want to send my kid to a Catholic school, but I'm not sure where to go from there. So you can go on the site and search the schools, and all of the schools will be displayed in a similar way, right? It's going to be consistent for anyone who's shopping, if you will, for lack of a better word. It's going to have a consistent way that the information about the school is displayed, but then it has a link to your specific website. So as I dig deeper, peel back the layers of that onion, right? As I go deeper and want to engage further, I have the resources, the tools to be able to do that very easily. So I'll be able to go into your specific school websites, engage with your specific social media outlets and things like that. So you can search by type of school, so it breaks out by high school or it breaks out by elementary school. Obviously you see a map that's displayed so people can see where the schools are located. I'll click into one. right there. You see the map that's displayed. We've shared some information about the school. It doesn't get into extreme detail because we know that's on your website. And some of this is continuing to be refined because, like I said, this page was just redesigned in the past couple weeks. So I keep checking back because this is sort of a primary area that we are looking at next to make sure that it's as dynamic as it needs to be in order to lead people to your specific schools. Okay? So we need to have a strong website. We also know that we need to have a strong presence on social media. And I'm not going to get into that specifically myself because I brought in an expert from Faith Catholic who's going to talk to you exactly about what the campaign will look like from a social media perspective. We're going to be doing pretty extensive social media advertising to help support Catholic education throughout the Archdiocese, but then she's also going to talk about how you can use that to help your social media efforts, how your social media efforts can be complemented by the work being done at the Archdiocesan level. Also, that she will talk to you about search engine optimization. So essentially, if someone Googles Catholic schools in the Archdiocese of St. Louis, we need to make sure that we always are the top option that pops up in the search, things like that. So search engine optimization ensures that we are at the top of the search, and that's set up by using specific keywords, tags, things like that. And so Betsy Hicks is who's going to be talking about that this afternoon. And specifically how she's doing that, what that's going to look like, and how you can implement that more specifically in each of your schools as needed. Okay. The other thing, and you can see on the, you can see some of the social media templates on the very back page in the booklet. The last thing that I want to show you is something unique that we built just for St. Louis. And I feel like it can be a really useful resource for you. I should have moved the computer over. Sorry, this is sort of clunky. But what we've created for you is a marketing resource portal. So what we recognize is that many of you maybe have marketing people on staff that also, maybe you don't. You might not even have a marketing person on staff. Some of you have a marketing person that does 5 other jobs. Some of you have a solely dedicated marketing person. You're all in a different area. Some of you have branding where you need it to be, others don't at all, right? But we want to make sure that you have what's the tools necessary to succeed from a marketing perspective. And so what we've done, I'll direct you first to the workbook, how we've created 3 different design templates for you. Okay, so on page 5051, that's the first design option. And then 5253 is the second design option, and 5455 is the third design option. We realize that some schools may want to be more traditional, while others may want to look a little bit more trendy, if you will, or hip, or whatever. So we've created 3 different marketing templates, and with those templates, we've created marketing kits. So what we're allowing you to be able to do is to choose a theme. Choose one of these 3 that maintain the brand of the Archdiocese, but can be customized to your school. So go to 56, 57. Sister, I hope it's okay that I borrowed our stuff. We can personalize or customize these materials. So let's say we choose design option number 1, and we can insert your logo, your branding, but also maintain the Archdiocesan brand, because that is valuable as well. So consistency is maintained, but it's also customized. So we're making this available where you can order one of these kits in full or parse it out, but we're making available roller shaped banners, posters, parish bulletin ads, and also customized brochures. And the way that you would order those is by going to this website. I kind of have you jumping all over the place, I'm sorry for that, but if you go to page 49, the website, the web address is archstlschools.faithdigital.org. We will be putting a link directly to this page on the education page on the Archdiocesan website. So you can just go straight there and click the link, and it's going to take you to this page. And you're going to have to put in a password. The password is marketing, and it's on page 49. So you're going to see this site here. You're going to click on order now. Basically, you fill in your contact information, all of your contact information. You're going to pick a theme, which theme you like. You provide all of your specific information about your school, so your PMS colors, your logo, any other graphics that we need to include. And then you can submit the order, and a Faith Catholic graphic designer will take that information in and create within 1 week for you your own marketing set of material at no cost. So again, I realize some of your school, you guys were all waiting. You're like sitting there like, what's it gonna be? Now I will say that Sisters being very generous through this campaign, like we talked about marketing, we're like, we can do billboards, radio ads, and all this, but the needs are in the schools. You need the materials. And I realize some, like the high schools, you have some sophisticated materials maybe already available. That's fine. You don't have to use these. You could choose any of the 3 themes. But these will be designed for you at no cost by a professional graphic designer. I will say though that you will be responsible for your own printing of the materials, okay? Because there are preferred vendors here in the Archdiocese of St. Louis for printing. Maybe you have a parishioner that does printing, whatever it is, and you can get the quantities you want and do that research yourselves. But it will be designed for you. Yes, and use central purchasing as a resource. It was just whispered in my ear, and that phone number is on this website for you. So I'll show you. It's on there, and after you submit your order, you'll get a message, and it'll also say, it'll give you the phone number for central purchasing here at the Archdiocese, so that you can proceed with the printing order when you're ready. Okay. The one thing that I just want to mention is that for those customized brochures, we can create things like infographics for you. So like think about those facts that I was having you write down. Infographics can be made based out of the facts that you've identified for your school that make you unique. So they look like this. There's an example of something that could be in your brochure, and then once that's designed in your brochure, we can put it on the page on the Archdiocesan website for your school's page. Does that make sense? So like if ICD creates one, then it can go on the ICD page on the Archdiocesan website, and you can use it however else you want to use it. So it's kind of neat that you get those additional resources as well. Yes. So if there's other facts that you want to highlight that maybe doesn't fit into this, we can create those as well. Mary Beth just shared. So Faith Catholic is here to help. I mean, they know the church, they understand the need, they're working with other Catholic school systems throughout the United States. And we want to make sure you have the tools you need to succeed. Okay? So So these are the resources that are available to you. Later today, you're going to be hearing a lot about social media after lunch from Betsy Hicks. She is an expert in this area, and so she's going to be doing a lot of very intentional work at the turn of the year once we really start launching all of this, seeing all of these materials around Catholic Schools Week. And then she's going to talk to you about how you can implement that in your own schools. So that'll be really valuable because social media is very important for us to be engaged there and to make sure that we are prominent there. And Sister definitely wants to make sure that that's part of this campaign. So that was a lot. I'm done. I'm going to give you about a 10-minute break, and then Mary Beth Hicks is going to come up. She is the Director of Marketing for Faith Catholic. So she flew in last night to be here with us today, and she is a marketing guru if I've ever met one. She is very accomplished, and I just feel very blessed that we were able to get her here to speak to you today. And she'll be talking to you about how to take what we've talked about here and implement that in your own schools, and what should that look like, and give you some steps for success. Okay, so about 10-minute break, use the potty, whatever you need to do, and then we'll be back at 10:15. I'm a mom, I just say potty.
Are you streaming?
Hey, Bob, I didn't see you. Thank you, baby.
You moved your headquarters.
Yeah, looks better back here.
What?
Looks better back here.
Where did Kathy go?
Hope you're catching up on.
up, all right, so I can catch up with all you. How's the thing?
Bye.
Well, we have one of our moms on the school board.
All right, if we can find our seats, please. My grade school religion teacher, she taught me a lot. Okay, I'd ask you to find your seats, please. I have a few announcements. The first, somebody just asked me if we could provide the materials in Spanish. I think it's a very good question, and I should have said it If you can provide us with the content in Espanol, we can design it that way. So we don't have a translator on staff. Oh, we do. Oh, I apologize. I'm getting whispers in my ear. We do actually now at Faith have a translator available. So if you want materials available in Spanish, we can do that for you as well. So don't hesitate to ensure that we are reaching everyone. The second announcement, you'll notice on the agenda on the inside cover that we had planned for a long lunch to allow for some conversation, but what we've decided is that we're going to scale that back. We're going to bump everything up an hour so that you guys can get back to your schools. Is that good? Sister knows you guys. Sister Napoli's on the case. Okay, so when we get to lunchtime, lunch is at 11:15, we're going to start at noon. And that's going to push everything up in the afternoon by 1 hour. Question? Good. That's great. Thank you. And I will reiterate, the design is free. You do pay for the printing. I just want to make sure I didn't lose you when I said free. You do still have to pay for your own printing. Okay, so I also, I gypped you guys. I didn't show you the video. It's really good. So what we did is we brought in a bunch of students from across the Archdiocese, so different ages, different grade levels, different genders, different backgrounds, everything. And we put together a series of videos. So there's about, I think we have 5 videos, but I'm just going to show you the one main video that we created. And then the rest are available on the Archdiocesan YouTube channel for your viewing pleasure. So I'm going to show you this one that is on the homepage of the education site, and you can use these however you like.
My grade school religion teacher, she taught me a lot of different saints, and one of them was Mother Teresa, and she was always happy. And today everyone's like, I want to be happy, I want to be happy. I feel like to be happy, you need to serve others. I can feel that my school is a Catholic school from all the service we do.
My favorite memory from St. Mary's is the day when we started cleaning up around the neighborhood. And we didn't go out and say, look everyone, we're cleaning up and start bragging about it. We just went out on a normal day and started cleaning up around our neighborhood.
The most important thing about my Catholic school is going to church.
I know as a school we firmly believe in that faith is in everything. Faith is in every person, everything we do. We really try to embrace everybody's talents and gifts that God has given them, whether it be academically, sports, music.
Well, ever since I was little, I really enjoyed learning and learning new things. So the teachers at my school just really helped with that. They encouraged that love of reading.
My favorite subject in school is social studies. I'm most excited being able to guide in learning time.
My teachers, they are very helpful and they are committed to their jobs. So for us, if we need extra help, they'll stay after school and after hours to help us.
I feel like the greatest benefit of being in Catholic school is that everyone knows you. If I didn't go to a Catholic school, I would miss all the nice people, I guess.
I would miss church and learning about the Bible stories and God and Jesus. If I couldn't go to Catholic school, I would miss serving at the school masses.
I miss how I could talk about my religion. I could ask my teachers questions when I wanted to, and that I could always have a safe place to go to when I needed to learn something.
I would think if I wouldn't go to a Catholic school anymore, there wouldn't be as much of a bond and brothership that we have at St. Mary's.
I honestly would miss everything. I'd miss my friends, I'd miss the teachers, I just miss the welcoming environment.
Without my Catholic education, I know not only as a musician, not only as a person, I would not be anywhere near where I'm at today.
was, what bores you? And I will never forget this. This was years ago. It was, what bores you? And her answer was PowerPoint. And she got in, went to Wake Forest, so I guess that worked. So you have my slides, which is so convenient. So we're gonna go to, I'm session 2. If you wanna follow along, you can find session 2. And we'll do this together the old-fashioned way on paper. So our little snafu, we're so organized at Faith Catholic. We're gonna do all this great graphics for you. But I thought that when we built the slides that the graphic designer put them all in one deck, and that Katie had the one deck for all of us. So that's our confusion at the moment. But no, it's okay. It's not your fault. Let's blame someone who's not here. So in addition to being Director of Marketing for Faith Catholic, which I've been doing for a few years, and as Katie pointed out, we are America's largest publisher of Catholic magazines. That's who we are. We publish magazines for 30 dioceses, including the Archdiocese of St. Louis, as well as about 20 other big Catholic organizations, big and small actually. And so we print about 1.9 million magazines a year, and we go to homes all across America. And we really have our purpose is to connect people with Jesus and His church. And we feel very strongly about using the tools of marketing to evangelize. That's really what our whole mission is as a company. And so this is an expression of that mission on our part as well. We are owned by and located in the Diocese of Lansing, Michigan, and so we use Lansing as kind of a test drive for a lot of the things we want to develop and use across the country. And so we did marketing in the Diocese of Lansing a couple of years ago, then we moved into the Diocese of Grand Rapids. We've been, had Katie and Betsy are the team in Grand Rapids that has executed that program, and they've been very successful in Grand Rapids with some noticeable numbers, changes in enrollment that have been really not only stopping the decline, but improving enrollment in a course of just a couple-year program. And so we're just about to launch in the Diocese of Portland, Maine. So we really are getting pretty good at this. And so I think what you saw this morning is evidence that we've developed some expertise that I'm really excited that you're going to be able to take advantage of. I'm also like a poster mom for Catholic schools, so I'm going to put, since Katie put her street cred out there, I'm going to add mine. I'm the mother of 4 children who all went to Catholic schools K through 12. So here's my statistic about that. They all hated cafeteria food, and so I figured out that I packed 9,360 lunches between 1994 and 2015. So I just feel like that's my claim to fame. And I know who likes mustard, I know who eats peanut butter, and who doesn't, and it was, that was kind of a big thing for me. But I really believe in the mission of Catholic schools. I'm a Catholic product of Catholic schools myself. And although interestingly, I went to Catholic schools through 8th grade, Catholic parish school, but at the time when I was living in Lansing, Michigan, as a teenager, the one and only Catholic school that we had was in a state of decline. And it academically didn't have the quality, didn't have a program. They were doing some sort of hippy-dippy things with education in the 70s. And my parents, who had gone to Catholic schools all through their entire lives, all through college, couldn't feel like they could choose that school for us. So we ended up going to the public school and using religious ed. So I have kind of a window on that. Fortunately, that very same Catholic school in Lansing, Michigan has become one of the best schools I could ever find for my children. And so my husband and I were very happy to send our kids all the way through grade 12. So I have a lot of familiarity as a parent as well. And so I'm part of the target market, which really helps us all to look at this really carefully. What I want to talk about this morning are some 5 kind of big keys to how you can implement what Katie talked about already. And so some of this is going to be a little repetitive because that's how we drive home a point. I'm going to talk to you about what the principle is behind repeating the point. But the first key to success in doing marketing for your school is to protect your brand. And that's a really important aspect of this. Now, we don't like to, we don't want to think of ourselves as branded like, I don't know, what's it, Nike or, Miller Lite, great taste, less filling, you know it. Oh gosh, I'm not in the Miller place, am I? Wrong beer, sorry, my bad. I'm a wine drinker, I'm sorry. So what defines your brand? We talked a little bit this morning about what are the perceptions about your school, but let's your brand, and why is it different from the school at the, for the principal who's sitting next to you? So what's special about your school? What makes it your brand? How can you describe your school? So certainly it's the education that you're providing. It's the excellence. It's the small environment. Maybe some of you are like the small personal school community where every kid is known and everybody's, we're like a one big tight knit family. Maybe another school is we're the bigger. We have more programs. We have bigger sports. We're a feeder school. So everybody's got their own personality, right? That's part of your brand. Your school personality is part of your brand. You, as a principal or administrator, your faculty, your staff, you're also part of the branding. What kind of atmosphere is it at your school? How are people treated? How do people know you? That's a big part of your branding. Your teaching, especially, is a big part of your branding. How do the parents feel about the teachers? What is the reputation of the teachers? Somebody brought up, and I was glad it came up because it was a misperception about Catholic schools that we all have struggled with, is that our teachers aren't as good. Otherwise, they'd be in the public school, right? That, like, people can't imagine you would actually choose to do this in this environment. But anybody my favorite are the teachers who taught in public schools for years and then moved to a Catholic school, and they'll tell you that is like the best advertising ever for the change in the atmosphere, the difference in the way the parents are involved, the difference in the way that the teachers are treated by families oftentimes. That's a big key, and that's part of your branding. Our teaching is part of our branding, okay? The actual value of the education, the cost of tuition versus the cost that it actually, the amount that it really costs to educate. So that's a part of your branding. You're getting a huge value here. Because, of course, we're never really charging in tuition, no matter how much it is, typically what it really costs, right? So, and you're competing with people for dollars, with people who are already paying taxes that support a public school system. So that's a big decision point for parents, and your brand has to be strong enough to cause them to want to spend money that they don't need to spend in order to educate their children. So that's a choice that they have to make that's really based in a lot of ways on what they expect to get from your brand of school. The perceived value of the education is another piece of your brand. So again, Kate covered perception so well this morning. We really need to make sure that you are you're promoting in your brand why Catholic education is so much better for so many reasons. We know that kids coming out of Catholic education, Catholic elementary schools and Catholic high school do better on standardized testing. They are more likely to get into the college of their choice. They are, as Catholics, they're exponentially more likely to go to Mass as adults, to continue in the faith. These are things parents care about, but we have to make sure we're saying these things and that those are part of our brand. Your school's reputation. I mean, I guess I have to say that everybody knows their school's reputation, and as Katie said this morning when she asked you to write down negative perceptions, what is your school's reputation? Are you the fancy school in the more prominent neighborhood? Are you the little school that could? Are you the school that is still hanging on? Are you just a solid school for middle class families where everybody feels welcome? What is your school's reputation? It's not part of what you use to advertise, okay? But you have to know it in order to be able to respond to it, to either promote it or to turn perception around about your school's reputation. Reputation is just really key to being able to market so that you can capitalize on it and correct it if it needs to be corrected. So what are the risks to your brand? What can really hurt that reputation? First of all, the real issues and problems and concerns that happen in your school are always a risk. Bullying when it happens, a bad teacher, quite honestly, can kill you. A school that I was involved in had a teacher in the first grade, and she was a kid repellent, honestly, it was terrible. The same school had a kindergarten teacher years before who was the meanest woman ever, and they really struggled to get people into the kindergarten because everybody knew, I was going to say her name, let's just call her Mrs. Brown, she was tough. People kids didn't like her, the parents didn't like her. So you know what happened? People skipped kindergarten, they went to public school, and then they would enroll in the first grade. Until they finally got the nerve to honestly say that they had to do something about this teacher who okay? So we have to work on your reputation among our families so that you can attract people instead of, you know, and if that's an issue, we can talk, and I can talk privately with anybody who's got, you know, an issue with specific people who are hurting your reputation. If there are issues around the safety of your neighborhood or the perceived commitment on the part of other parents, or the perceived clickiness on the part of parents in the school. When we moved from one starter parish school in Michigan to the parish school nearby, we did that because I'm a perfect example of these things. We were involved in a starter school, and I was the first president of the school board and ran the auctions and did all that. I was all in. But it was a very tiny 6th grade class, and my rising sixth grader didn't really have any friends in this class. And as committed as we were to this little school, we loved it, had so many cool features, really it was a great place. But the fact that I had a daughter with no friends caused us to have to lift up and move the whole show. I gotta move this thing. Move the whole show to a different school. And we changed parishes and we moved our home and we did everything because we couldn't accommodate one of our children. And so, you know, that was an example of, but when we went to the new school, my husband's concern was this one's cliquey and rich. Like that was their reputation. And so we had to identify, how were we going to be a family and work within what we thought we knew about that school. Turns out we were wrong. The reputation wasn't what we experienced there. But by reputation, you know, he had concerns about whether that was going to be a fit for our kids. So these are the kinds of things you have to know about. You can't just feel offended about the reputation, but you have to know what the problems are that actually impact the reputation of your school. I won't dwell on it too much, but Katie said perceptions and feelings are fact. When people feel that they're not listened to, when people feel that they aren't valued, if they feel that you know, their kids don't get a fair shake in the classroom, those kinds of things. 9 out of 10 times, I was always on the side of the teacher. I was one of those parents that made it clear to my children at the beginning of every school year, the teacher and I are on one team and you're on the other team. If you want to be on our team, you're welcome. But I'm on her team, or his team, the teacher. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen that way so much anymore. You're often feeling like you're targeted by parents. And so this is tough because the reality is parents are our target audience and they're also sometimes our problem audience. And so, you know, I'm speaking really frankly, and I just realized this is going to be on YouTube, so I'm the hired gun from out of town. I'm just going to say what I'm saying. It is really true that sometimes the parents will make it difficult for you to keep doing what you're doing well, and will have an impact on that reputation. But sometimes their perceptions, as Katie said, are just wrong, and so we have to work really hard to correct those. Word of mouth for marketing is huge and important for us. But there's that rule of 10, and I don't even know if it's really a rule of 10, but that the good things that happen, people will only tell one person, but the bad things that happen, people will tell 10, you know that? And so that's really true of our schools. If a parent has a very bad experience with a teacher, or with, you know, their child is bullied, or they feel like their kid didn't get a fair shake, or whatever their issues are, they will tell everybody who will listen in the parking lot. And that becomes part of the perception that people have to evaluate and decide how true it is, how real it is. And so we need to be able to be sensitive to that. And of course, we're called through the gospel to use all of these experiences as ways to evangelize and bring the gospel. And so, you know, it's part of our mission to deal with the problems, to deal with the people who are struggling, and do it in a respectful and prayerful way. But we do know that people will torpedo a teacher's reputation, or, you know, even a school's reputation based on their own personal experience, which may not be relevant for everyone, and certainly you're always at a disadvantage because you could never tell the whole story. Somebody can torpedo you on Facebook with a post, and you can't come back and say, oh, we did this, we did that, we did this, we did that, we had meetings, we counseled the child, we did this. You can't tell your side of the story, so it's tough. And so we have to be able to respond in positive ways to things that will, unfortunately, have an impact on perception. Which does bring us to negative social media. Betsy's going to talk about that this afternoon, but just to say, social media is absolutely something we need to use, but we need to use it smartly because it can get away from you. And one thing that she'll talk to you about this afternoon is, if you're using social media for your schools, and let's just really quick check. Who's got Facebook for your school? Pretty much every everybody. Instagram? Anybody using Instagram? Are you using Twitter? You can close that one down. You have my permission. It's not helping you. But Betsy will tell you that this afternoon. She's like, fine, stop. Snapchat. Anybody using Snapchat? One, brave. Are you a high school person? No? Okay. So anyway, but clearly you're using Facebook, and so you know the power of that if somebody posts something on Facebook. Well, if you're using any of the social platforms, you should be using them as a way to build community, so that you're using them to share things, share posts, not just use it as an announcement or as a bulletin board, but use it as a conversation. So you can post things, and if people comment, you should be commenting back. You should have a voice on your social media platforms, and Betsy's going to talk to you about that this afternoon. Inattentiveness or inconsistency or just kind of apathy about your brand. Like, this is who we are, take it or leave it. Like this, we're the parish school. If you sign up, you sign up. If you don't, you don't. We're too busy teaching and trying to figure everything out and complying with everything that's coming out of Sister Napoli's office. We can't do it all, right? And so we're just going to let it be what it is. I can't change what people think of me, so I'm just going to go about my business. And unfortunately, you're marketing. You're trying to attract students, you're trying to attract families, and ultimately for evangelization purpose, you're trying to attract people into this community. And so we don't have the liberty of not caring or just letting it go and be itself. You have to really be attentive to what your brand is and how it's being portrayed and perceived. But certainly that leads us to time constraints. You are only one person and you're the principal, or you're only two people and you're the whole administrative team, or whatever. And so we really feel strongly in these marketing plans that you can benefit greatly by bringing in a core group of parent volunteers who are part of your marketing team. And if you can develop, especially this early in the year, right here in August, recruit for a group of maybe 4 or maybe 5 tops, but people who will consistently say, my volunteer thing for this year is to be part of a marketing team. Because the parent volunteers are your ambassadors. They're the people who are going to be able to speak for you, help change perceptions, help address those perceptions, and also be your boots on the ground for doing a lot of things that we're going to recommend that you would do. So those if you can get people involved, that you can combat that time constraint that really makes it difficult for you to pay attention to marketing. So the second key for doing this effectively is about building relationships. One of the first things that I would really strongly urge you to do is think about and know your families so well. Now, some of you are in smaller schools and that's almost a given already. Some of you are in bigger schools and it's impossible to literally know every single family. But the teachers can and should. And there should be a system that you have, maybe monthly, maybe in your one-on-ones with teachers, if you're the principal, where you can take a little bit of a temperature about just the families in your school. So you can meet with teachers and say, let's just talk about do we know if there are any families having issues that I need to know about? Let me know privately or whatever. You don't need to exploit people's privacy in a teacher meeting. But you, as the principal or vice principal or administrator, you need to know what's happening in your families, because retention is often really, retention problems, I should say, are often the result of families feeling kind of abandoned. Like they had issues and they don't know how to resolve it with the school, they don't know how to bring it up, they're too embarrassed if it's financial, they've got a child being bullied or a child just socially struggling. They don't even have to be bullied, but they just feel invisible. Those families need support from the school in order to not feel that they, have no option but to leave. That happened to me. I felt like we didn't have any option except to go. I needed a bigger pool of potential friends for this daughter, but honestly, I wonder in retrospect if people had come to us and said, no, don't leave. Let's work together. Let's make this more socially fun for this child of yours. And so I think that, knowing families and being really tuned in to what's happening with them is part of the job. And so it's not only knowing, because this is part of the ministerial piece of the job as well. So it's not just knowing about them, but knowing them well enough to be able to have a sense of what's happening in your families. A really key piece of your marketing is to identify, and this you could make these people part of that core group of marketing volunteers, identifying your influencers. It is unbelievable to me that my 20-year-old college senior has as one of She knows people who do this. Do you know what that is? You don't know what an Instagram influencer is? Okay. Do you know that there are people who have Instagram accounts and they post stuff, they post pictures of the stuff they buy at, you know, the designer brand that they're wearing, and they post a picture of themselves wearing this designer brand, and then all of their thousands of Instagram followers see that, and they get paid by the brand to do that. They get paid to put pictures of themselves up wearing this month's new thing, and they get sent items, they get sent product, makeup, you know, these YouTube makeup artists. They get free stuff sent to them so they can do demonstrations of makeup on YouTube, and then they influence people to buy these products. These are online influencers. This is a thing. You can do this and make money. I really hope my daughter does not do this to make money, and if you could join me in that prayer real quick. I think she has a higher calling, but let's hope. But you have influencers in your communities. Okay, so maybe they're not using Instagram in that way, but they are using social media. You've got some, I can guarantee you've got some moms in your schools who are using social media very effectively. And they're taking pictures of their kids at the school play, or at the football game, or at the lacrosse practice, or whatever it is. And their lives look really appealing to other people. They're putting things on Facebook. They can be tagging the school on Facebook if they're going to post something on Facebook. And so that the school is part of their influence. And so whether it's on social media influencing, or whether it's just because these are people in the school who other people know and respect and care about their opinion or think highly of their opinion, these are the people you want to be part of your team to market the school. And it is absolutely necessary that you go figure out who are the really, I hesitate to say the word popular, it's kind of the wrong word, but who are the people in the school that other families know and respect? And can you get their involvement in ways that are committed so that they can be the kind of the foundation, the underpinnings to your marketing plan, which is really about building brand identity, building pride, building reputation so that the school can grow. And also to grow among, we talked about this morning about parish families. A lot of registered parishioners aren't sending their kid to the school, they're using religious ed, which is great, which is their option. However, could they be influenced to take another look at the Catholic school, to take another look at the parish school, to come and see it and to learn more about it? So we really want to think about who are the people who can help you a lot simply by virtue of the fact that other people recognize them and respect them. So with respect to retention, which is another key piece about building relationships, retention is one of the biggest lost opportunities for us in Catholic schools and Catholic education. We lose a lot of kids, and we know we lose them at certain points. Kindergarten to first grade is a drop-off a lot of times. Third grade to fourth grade is a big drop. Middle school years are a big drop, and then of course high school. So we want to be able to see those as critical points on the path when parents are reassessing. They're evaluating their experience and deciding whether they're going to keep going. And they're always making a cost-benefit analysis. Is this worth the money? They're also making a student benefit analysis, a child benefit analysis. Is my child happy enough? Is he doing well enough in school? If he's struggling in school, are they coming back to me with programs that will help my child be more successful? They're evaluating along the line. Again, it's some key points. So as you're marketing to your own core constituency, which is your students and families that you have enrolled, you probably should be making a point to say, at some point in that kindergarten year, we're going to bring all those families in, and we're going to talk about getting excited for first grade. We want you to meet the first grade teachers. We want you to talk to us about what's your experience so far. And when we get you to that week in February, March, when we're going to start enrollment, we're going to have a special night for kindergarten parents about enrollment. We're doing a special night for third grade parents to talk about your experience so far, what you expect in those middle grades, how we're going to respond to you, so that they feel you're ready to listen to any concerns they have. If they're on the fence and they're not telling you, you can be preemptively answering some of those concerns by having some enrollment nights that are geared toward these specific grades where you know that there's going to be a potential drop-off. Especially important when your students are getting ready to, we used to call turn the corner down the middle school hallway into 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, because that's a time when parents are starting to worry about the bigger picture, high school, college prep, is my kid gonna be ready, is my kid gonna be testing well enough, and so these are times when you can really address those concerns. Another way to build relationships is to really promote enrollment by nurturing your leads. So if you will, this whole campaign that we're working on for you is meant to generate leads, to generate good, positive, reliable leads. This is what the marketing side is, but you're the sales side of this equation. So marketing can only bring you qualified leads, and your job is going to be to build relationships so you can close the sale. It's pretty much like selling a car. So when you've worked in any other environment where somebody's tried to build a lead with you, whether it's an insurance salesman or somebody trying to sell you a car or a realtor or whatever that is, you get to the place where you're starting to shop, but now you're more likely to be involved in that decision if the person is helping to kind of reel you in gradually with information, with attention, with a relationship. So anytime you have someone that's come to you, they want to know more about the school, you're going to have brochures now to be able to send to them, beautiful marketing that's going to go along with stuff that's in the bulletin, a bulletin ad, maybe an article in the bulletin that you might place. Now you're going to have all these ways of kind of setting people up to come and talk to you, and suppose they do, they make a phone call, or they ask to come and get a tour. Now what? Well, now don't just leave it sit there. Well, I gave them a tour, it's up to them. So now you can build a relationship. Now you can send an email, maybe once a month or once every 2 weeks, to anybody who's come to the school and not made that choice yet. Just checking in with you. It can be a group email. Just writing, to where you hide the email addresses, right? You don't want to send it to everybody individually. But you can say, just letting you know what's happening at our school this week. We're very excited about this activity. We've got a new science program. We're sending the kindergartners on this field trip. It's such a great environment here. Thinking of you. Hope if you have any questions, let us know. This takes a hot minute to do, right? So this is where your parent volunteers could really help you. Because if a parent could send that email for you, that would be a huge help. And it would help to develop a relationship between a parent and a prospective parent. And so this is a way for you to have your influencer parents really help to bring people in. Emails and texts, personal connections, phone calls, those are all ways that you can nurture that relationship with people who are considering your school but haven't made that decision yet. And it is a lot of work, which is why, again, really focusing on trying to find people who will be able to assist you with this throughout this year. Okay, Katie talked a little bit also about eliminating barriers. The barriers to retention that we know are really difficult for families, that financial setback is a big key. When you can know about it, as discreetly, as confidentially, as compassionately as you can, to talk to a family and say, we know that one of the parents or another maybe lost a job, or you're thinking you have to move, but we'd like to find a way to make your children's life as consistent as possible, and if we, don't not talk to us about this decision. Don't assume you can't keep coming here. So anytime a financial setback comes into play, there's always a way to find other parents who can assist, anonymously to keep a family in the school. Sometimes people just think they have no alternative but to leave and to cut that expense out of their budget. But there's always a way when people kind of call on the Holy Spirit and open themselves up. So that's an important piece. Different needs for different siblings is also a big retention problem. There are families that just don't want to split their kids up between a public school and a Catholic school, and reasonably so. That seems like a reasonable concern. So how can we really do a better job or do a more consistent job of finding those resources that can be used from the public school system in your school for kids who need it, addressing in whatever way you can the individual needs of children within a family so that the family can stay as part of the school system, as part of your school system. Lack of student success is a big reason why parents a lot of times pull the plug. They want to go get a fresh start someplace else. So, to the extent that can be frustration for teachers in your own classrooms and for you, making sure that you've done everything you can, and mostly that parents know you're doing everything you can to help facilitate their student success is a key to retention. Because parents want to stay where they feel like somebody cares about their kid. And if, just displaying that constant love and compassion for children, even when they're struggling, is a big key, and making sure that parents don't just pull the plug and try and start over someplace else. The lack of inclusion and friendship problems for kids, it's even separate from the bullying issue, is just making sure kids are, in fact, happy. I mean, happy children want to stay where they are, and parents want their children to be happy. That is, you know, it's a proven fact, right? So really kind of taking the temperature and asking teachers to be communicating with you, again, as I said before, about any kid who's struggling, who's having issues, and communicating with parents. Don't let that go under the radar. We see that so much in the media, where children just feel like they were invisible, and all of a sudden you see big, terrible problems. And so we need to really be making sure that that is part of literally our marketing plan. It sounds a little mercenary, but it is part of our marketing to understand that we are really responsive to parents and families when they're struggling. And then providing resources for struggling students is a big key to making sure that parents don't, again, decide to leave and go elsewhere. Become a problem solver, and the answer to the problem, to every problem, is always your school. That's the problem, and the answer is we have the best environment, we have the friendliest people, we have a sense of community, we have caring, compassionate, and dedicated teachers, we have opportunities for your child to, to gain confidence. Literally, whatever the, whatever the problem is, you're always the answer to the problem, and that's how you would position that. A fourth key to marketing is to market consistently. So one of the most sort of adorable things I hear when we go into Health Catholic schools is, well, we tried that once. So, I'll say, well, email marketing. Oh, we sent an email one time, and no, I never heard from anybody. We just sent one email. Well, okay, but reach and frequency is a key to marketing. You have to reach the right people, and you have to reach them over and over again. This is why I said Katie talked about perceptions are fact, and I'm going to repeat that because you're my audience, and I'm going to frequently say it. And about 6 times in, you'll never forget, right? This is why you keep seeing the same commercials on, from the Super Bowl, and they keep going, or why you keep getting bombarded during campaign season with radio ads. It's because frequency is a key to making sure that you get the message. So the messaging, which Katie talked about this morning, is a huge piece of this, but making sure that you repeat it enough times so people get it is also a key. And so we want to make sure that we don't just try something once and hope that it will stick. Marketing is about constantly being in front of your audience with the right messages. So to that end, you want to use all the available tools to communicate your messages, and you did see this morning you're going to have great, cool new stuff available to you, posters and bulletin ads and brochures and all of that. You want to use all of that. You also want to use all of the ways in which your whole staff can be doing these kinds of things. So an example is the teachers who do the weekly email to their parents and call out kids who've done something great that week and are just doing good teaching, basically. They're just communicating with their families, right? That's also good marketing. And we want to make sure that the teachers understand that the more they do these great practices, these great best practices, they're also helping the school attract and retain families, and so it's a big piece of it. We strongly urge that you stop doing the one and only kindergarten roundup, open house night, where there's a million cookies that nobody eats, and all the parents have to clean the classrooms, and every teacher's on duty, and it's only from 7 to 9, and it's the one night. Stop doing that. We think you should stop doing that. We think you should do open houses every Friday, or a tour every Friday, like a college tour. Just every Friday morning at 9 o'clock, you start advertising it in the bulletin, or by appointment, or every Friday afternoon at 3, or whatever day and time works for you that you think you can attract people. Or how about this? We have this crazy thing we do at Catholic churches. We close on Sunday. Like, we have Mass, but everything else is closed on Sunday. Suppose on Sunday, every Sunday, for the whole morning while there's Mass across the parking lot, you have tours. Anybody who wants to come and do a tour can tour the school on a Sunday. They're coming to Mass, maybe they haven't been to your school, that's where the coffee and donuts are. So make sure that you're using an opportunity to get people in the door. There are people who might be curious, might be having those very same bad experiences at their public school where they are. And they're thinking about pulling the plug on the public school. Now they come and find you, and you're welcoming, and you're making it more affordable, and you're learning about financial aid, and it seems very like a lovely community of parents and families. Suddenly you're the solution to their problem, but how will they know that if they can't get a foot in the door? Or if the barrier to getting a foot in the door is that they have to be available on this one day in March from 7 to 9. So we really strongly feel that the college tour model is the model we should be using. Whether it's monthly or bi-monthly, however that is. But people, and those tours then will be small. It might be one family that you're just touring around and you have the whole staff doesn't have to stop what they're doing. You're gonna go see classrooms, you're gonna meet people, they're gonna see what it looks like during the school day, and that is a very compelling way to sell your brand. So we wanna be nurturing leads. This is another key. You wanna be able to make sure that anybody who does come to a tour is now on your list, on an email list. They're receiving emails from the school. Even if it's, you forward your school's weekly e-news. Once a month, you forward that to all of your leads. You say, just thought you'd want to see how we communicate with our parents and hope you're doing well. Please feel free to call me. And those are the kinds of things, again, those parent volunteers could help you with, but where you're keeping those nurturing leads over. People may not choose you this year for next year, but 2 years from now, they're still thinking about it, and now they're there because they've got a little one in tow, and this one really, now they've decided they're coming into the Catholic school. So nurturing a lead in a Catholic school environment may take some time, may take a couple of years. So we don't want to give up on somebody simply because they didn't choose to enroll in this particular school year. And then the last thing is you are really the ones responsible for closing the sale. Again, we can try and do all these great things to bring people to you and to market the idea of Catholic education, all of the purpose and the dynamic and all of the things that Katie went through this morning. We can give you the videos, we can do all the stuff, but you're closing the sale and you have to think in those terms. What will it take to get you to enroll? Do you need scholarship money? I'll go work on that. Do you need to meet more parents? Do you need your child to meet some friends so that they'll feel comfortable in this decision? What can I do? It sounds hard sell, doesn't it? It is, because this is where you are. We only have about a third of our Catholic school, or our Catholic children go to Catholic school. And we believe and know that Catholic school is better for them. So we are trying to do a little bit of a hard sell here, where you can, if not you, but a parent, influencer, or somebody can say, what would it take for you to make this decision? I'm gonna help you make that decision. But that's part of the closing the sale and the attitude about this marketing plan that we hope that you'll think about. On page 14, key number 5 is to stay on message. And this is the last big key I want to talk to you about. Katie talked about this morning, defining what is the message. So knowing what those perceptions are, positive and negative, how to overcome those barriers, how to be the answer to everybody's question. And teaching what matters most means staying on the message about faith, values, the culture in your school, what your school brand is. Education with a higher calling is about what the difference is at your school. The mission, the pursuit of excellence. Christian service is always very important to parents. They feel they want their children to have that opportunity, and to sort of really highlight those things in your messaging. I want to talk about addressing those barriers in your marketing messages. So really focus on what those things are. We want to do, if you have an opportunity to do inbound marketing is a way to do emails to prospects in which you address the things that would concern them. So you can say, we know that some families really struggle with the financial decision to go to Catholic school. Meet the Smiths. They really struggled with this too. And now you have a family at your school and they're willing to be profiled, and you have a quote from Mr. Smith that says, it was a hard decision for us and we postponed buying a new van for our family, but we really feel this is the best decision for our children. That speaking for you is so much more powerful than what you could say, right? And so we want to find narrative ways, narrative stories to tell, to overcome those barriers, and we want to find ways to deliver those narrative stories. So an e-newsletter that you would be using to keep in contact with prospects or people who called, or that you could be using if the parish has email lists of people with children in the parish, you can be sending to those people, or a little printed newsletter that you can be mailing to parishioners who have children who are not in school. So there are avenues for you to get these kinds of messages to people. And so what should those be? Well, see if you can find ways to tell that story besides being so explicit, right? So you can do a little newsletter, maybe 4 times a year, just to the families in the parish with children. And it's got a little story about somebody who overcame the financial barrier, somebody who finds that their children are really excelling in a small Catholic classroom, somebody who really finds their child's faith has really come alive by being in a Catholic environment. All these great things that really you highlight what you have, what your brand does, that you can let other people tell that story for you. Does that make sense? Okay. Because what you want to do is focus about 80% of your marketing on dispelling those top 3 or so negative perceptions that people have. If people have negative perceptions about teachers, they think that Catholic school teachers aren't as qualified or don't have certification or any of this silliness that they seem to think. So highlight, once a month, you can highlight a teacher and all of her great credentials or his credentials and all of their experience, and have that teacher's story speak to that problem, right? And maybe an infographic that says, all of our teachers have master's degrees, or this many have, advanced studies, and this many, this many used to teach in public schools and now teach in a Catholic school. You can use your own teacher population to really tell that story about your great teaching, right? And so highlighting that is a key. All of this is known as content marketing. It's using these stories and putting them in some sort of platform that people can read and use, whether it's in the bulletin or creating a little newsletter or e-newsletter that will help people to know these stories, and then lead them back to either your website, if it's an electronic, or that tour on a Friday, or a phone call to your office to get you to talk more about what is interesting to them. So we always want to have a call to action in anything that you're doing so that people will be able to come back to you. So just to kind of wrap up, I smell food, I know everybody's getting hungry. Let's get that slot before lunch. And I do see the faces of people saying, do you not smell the food? So I do. So just to wrap up, so education with a higher calling, this whole campaign, it's going to promote the quality of the school system, and so you don't have to, this will help you tell your quality story. It's going to address those major barriers that are true for all the schools, and use content marketing and social media advertising in the way that Katie described. We do want to just reiterate that Faith Catholic is available to you to really help you customize those materials. Make sure that we can coach you a little bit about things like photography. Father asked me, on the covers of those brochures, can you swap out your own photo? Well, you definitely need to swap out your own photo. So we can work with you on how to take good pictures and submit those to us, and how to really make those materials work for you and to be as custom as they can be within the framework of the program that we're offering. I want to also address the idea of using the diocese's own publications as part of content marketing. So I know that you have to pitch Catholic St. Louis and the St. Louis Review for articles that you want to be included in the magazine and in the newspaper. And I would encourage you to do that regularly. Maybe have one parent volunteer, again, whose job it is to just keep pitching stories. But make sure that the stories you pitch are something that will get picked. And here's how you do that. Make sure that those stories are narrative stories that help to overcome those barriers, that are about content that overcome the barriers. That they're much less likely, to be honest, to do a story about your school's Mardi Gras, because everybody's having a Mardi Gras, and it's very hard for them to pick a school to focus on some sort of event that's pretty typical. Your school's play, your school's football thing. It's tough. They have all these schools to choose from, and they can't be unfair in the way that they would do that. They do, however, want content about Catholic education. So what would that content look like? And so I would argue that what that content looks like is pitch Catholic St. Louis on a family that you want to profile, that could even potentially be a cover story about why they chose Catholic schools and how the sacrifices that they made to do it. That's a story that they might probably use. Or a student with disability who stays in the Catholic school, maybe does get some ancillary services from their public district, but is part of the Catholic school community in a very profound way, and really shows the face of the love and compassion in that Catholic community. Those sorts of things where you can find a compelling story to tell, a story of Christian witness in particular, that focuses on your school and how your school really sought to be part of that person's journey, faith journey, those are the stories that sell. And so I would encourage you to look for those and find those, because it'd be very compelling. If you can pitch a story that really is so good it gets picked and maybe even becomes a cover story, that's a piece of marketing for you that you could not possibly afford to buy, and you can use for a long time. You can get extra copies printed and use for a long time. So I would just encourage you to think really strategically when you're pitching stories to your 2 publications in the diocese about how you can help them and help yourself by pitching things that really are things that they can use. And if you're not sure, call them and ask them, you know, what kinds of stories do you really want? Because we don't want to keep pitching you on things that get rejected. We want to pitch things that will work, okay? Does anybody have any questions besides what's for lunch? Because we will have time for questions and answers this afternoon as well. So, okay, well thank you. Katie's right here, so I guess we're going to move on to the next piece.
Thank you, Mary Beth. I told you she's a pro. You know, she's told she doesn't have her slides, and she still delivers. So I hope you got some good quality information out of that. Okay, so we are going to break for lunch now. We're going to come back together at noon. So disregard the schedule saying 1. We will be back here at noon. And after lunch, we're going to hear from Betsy Hicks, daughter of Mary Beth Hicks, but also social media expert. She's going to share about not only what is part of the campaign from the diocesan level, how we're going to be implementing social media advertising and search engine marketing, but also how you can utilize that in your own schools, how to use Facebook Ad Manager and different resources like that. So social media is extremely important, and Betsy has some really great background to be able to give us some good tips on how to use it, how to be better at it, and to succeed.